The Kalamazoo Community COVID-19 Update is produced locally through Public Media Network. Thank you for tuning in to the Kalamazoo Community COVID-19 Update. My name is Clifford Brown, and as always, I will be your host through a segment that I hope you will find very impactful, and informative. We're going to talk about education, and that is something that is near and dear to my heart in that my mother was a Kalamazoo educator in the public school system for over 25 years. I have a twin sister that was in the school system as an educator, classroom teacher, for over 20 years. I have two older sisters that are educators at the collegiate level, or that have been educators at the collegiate level. So I thought about it several times and figured out that it takes a special person to teach, someone with passion. Today, you'll meet two of those such people. We'll be speaking with Amanda Miller. Amanda not only is a classroom teacher, but is also president of the Kalamazoo Educational Association. Along with Amanda, we'll be speaking with Yonay Kuphoff. Yonay has 28 years in the Kalamazoo Public School classroom and is here to bring very important information for how we can move forward during this most devastating pandemic. Amanda, Yonay, thank you both for being here today. We certainly appreciate it. We appreciate it as educators or those that educate our children specifically, and that's something I don't think I have the passion to do. I love your passion. I appreciate you being there. I trust that you both are being safe and your families are being safe. How are you both doing today?
A little tired, but okay.
Okay, and Amanda?
Yeah, same thing. It's a little wearing, just the whole new pattern of our job and how it's working. It is a little wearing, but I'm doing good.
Excellent, excellent. Well, this is really a devastating pandemic, one that we haven't had since the early 1900s. It has completely torn apart our medical system, our communities, and certainly our educational system. Amanda, if you would, as the president of the KEA, what type of changes are coming about? What are things that you're talking about in your meetings that can help us understand the new normal that we're experiencing now?
Well, it's great that you asked us how we were doing, because that's kind of our main job right now, is to make sure that we can find all the kids, connect with the kids, and see how they're doing. That's our number one goal right now is, how is their well-being? We hope we can find them. Some kids are homeless or have just moved. But yeah, that's our number one goal, is to make sure that they are mentally, emotionally, and physically healthy right now.
Wow. Now, as educators, do you have resources to deal with students and families that are really having a difficult time now?
We've always been underserved in those areas. We've always needed more nurses, counselors, social workers, school psychs, all of those individuals. So I think we do not have the things that we need. We do have passionate employees that are trying their very best with what we do have. Like Yonay, all the teachers are calling and just thinking of any way they can contact kids to, number one, locate them. And we do have enough meals. We're trying to feed as many kids as we can. So I think, trying to meet that basic need is very helpful in a time like this.
We also have our counselors, our assistant principals, our parapros. They're also stepping up to a new reality in that the students that we as teachers have not been able to reach, at least in our building, our parapros, our assistant principal, our counselors, they're also trying to figure out where those students are, reach out to them, make contact with them, and make sure that they have their basic needs covered also.
Excellent. Do you feel like the efforts are well supported? I asked that because you brought up something that, we sometimes don't think about. What about the children that because of this are are homeless, or parents that are really suffering, or not able to really navigate through this system without support. Do you have the support that you need to even help those children, those parents?
Well, I don't know about you, Amanda, but I think 98% of our students have been reached in our building to see if they need additional internet or laptop. And if I'm not mistaken, there is a company in Kalamazoo that has made internet available for the next 60 days, I think, Amanda.
I'm not sure. I was watching a board meeting last night, and the district responded that they were very close to that.
Okay.
So maybe that's what you're talking about. But yeah, I think one of the supports that we really, 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 really need would be and question that we still have is, how do we help children learn when they have a job right now? Some of them have a job. I mean, some of them are babysitters right now.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are maybe helping to teach their younger sibling right now.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they have to run up and get the food around noon. I mean, I just think there are a lot of challenges put on families and children right now that make it difficult for them to engage in an online learning on top of these other things to get the basic needs done in the home. It's really challenging. And I think that's something that we have to keep thinking about. How do we do that? Can we do it?
Well, I would imagine now in a classroom setting, you take attendance, you grade papers, etc. Do you have the same criteria in this, I guess we'd call it distance learning? And secondly, I'm afraid I'm a little bit older, so I need one of you, Yone, if you would, catch me up on this distance learning concept. Tell me how that works. What is that?
It's a concept where our students are safe and sheltered at home. Our teachers and staff are safe and sheltered at home, but we're connecting through the internet, through online resources, to check in with our students, number one, to make sure that they're doing well, and number two, to present lessons to them to help them stay stimulated mentally, as well as for some of my students, it's giving them a break mentally to kind of stay occupied, stay kind of in a routine that is totally new to them. This entire pandemic has thrown many of our students for a loop. This is a new reality, not only for us, but also for them. And so many of our students thrive on a routine, and they want that not only routine, but the day-to-day contact. Sometimes we as teachers and we as school personnel are the only real grown-up contact that some of them get, because we have parents that work at night, so they sleep during the day, so they don't have that contact with their kids. So for some of us, we're their safe area for them. And sad, but that's a reality.
Wow. And Amanda, let me ask you, in a traditional setting, you're able to gauge the feedback instantly. You know whether children are there, you know whether they're safe, you know how they feel, etc. What type of feedback are you getting with this new distance learning platform? And how can we ensure that the same children that we protected while we educated are even present and then protected with the new platform?
So we are getting good feedback from community. Uh-oh, I don't know if you can hear me right now.
You're fine.
Okay, good. Yeah, like from the board meetings, I've heard parents speak, and I think most of them are pretty happy that their kids have something to do and can connect with their teacher and their classmates. to keep them safe, I think that is a challenge right now because we're using a platform on Google that has been made for business meetings. So business meetings don't typically have students that do silly things or things that are worse than silly and unsafe to their classmates. So I've got a lot of concerns coming to me about, you know, student X has come online and bullied students in my classroom. And Google Meets doesn't have a way to remove a student from a class that continues to do that, because then it wouldn't happen in a business situation. Little children, I've had a little child with special needs remove their clothing, and we can't cut video. So these kinds of things, along with a lot of other concerns, they don't keep kids, that platform doesn't keep kids safe. We're hoping that with all of us online now across the nation, that Google will update its platform. Some teachers are using Zoom, which is not supported by the district. Like if you need tech help, you can't get tech help, but Zoom has those features to keep kids safer, even though it's gotten a lot of bad press. So that's kind of where we are. The online safety piece is very challenging right now.
Wow. It seems like with this new platform, as opposed to needing less parental involvement, you need more. We need parents to ensure that their kids are safe and doing the right things on the other side of the lens. Let me ask you, Yone, are you finding that parents are more receptive, or do they communicate more? Are they more hands-on? How are parents reacting? And in the case where there's a caregiver for the small child, how are they reacting? Are you getting more communication?
Well, see, I'm a middle school teacher, so I can't speak to the younger children. My parents are about as involved as they ever were. I get emails from them. I've gotten, after some of my class meetings, I've had a student say, hey, my mom or my dad wants to talk to you a minute. Do you have a few minutes after class? So naturally, they just hand the computer over, and the parents and I have a parent conference in there. So as a middle school teacher, my parent involvement is about the same as it would be in the regular classroom.
So Amanda, are you getting the same types of results across the board?
Yeah, typically lots of parent involvement. How do I get onto this? How do I log on? That was huge in the beginning because they're not used to, you know, like some of us adults. I had to ask you for help today, Clifford, just to get on the meeting. So we're not used to doing this kind of thing, and parents definitely, some of them are not either. So that's been a big hurdle. And some of them, you know, they do have a lot of questions because they are calling themselves a teacher as well, because they have to make sure they're kind of the enforcer right now. Like, sit down and finish that. That's what we're normally doing. You know,
Wow.
and now they're trying to do all those things. So I think that's giving them a whole different view when they are probably, you know, a little more involved in that aspect when we're not directly online with them, with their students.
Now, you know, if I were a student during this time, it would not be a good platform for me, because that ability to have a parent-teacher conference in the middle of school or class, that would be a scary thing for me. I'd be in trouble every single day. Oh, now, but I want to circle back, because you mentioned children with special needs. So this is a new platform, a new way of teaching. We're getting good feedback, but then we have children that have special needs. How are we addressing those needs? Now, sometimes you have professionals in the classroom to assist teachers. Sometimes students will leave to go to a different classroom to receive additional help. But in this case, you've got a platform where there's a student going online, either speaking with a parent or pulling homework, etc. In a case where a child has a special need, what do we have in place to assist them? Are they still getting the same learning benefit as they would in a regular classroom?
Not the same, but I'm trying to do it in a way that is accessible to them. I have a student that is hearing impaired, so all of my class meetings, I have to make sure that I have the closed captioning on. So she is being helped that way. But my other caseload students, my special education teacher, as well as the parapro that I have for support, are also present in my class meetings.
Oh, wonderful.
So the students can ask them questions, and it's not just the caseload students. Any of the students can ask them a question or type it into chat, and any of us can answer it. I haven't done the training yet, but there is a link where you can create a breakout room if you have the bandwidth at your house, and I'm not sure if we do, so I'll have to try it and see.
Okay.
If we have the bandwidth, I can create a breakout room for my special education teacher and my parapro, and my students that are caseload or any student that would need extra help can meet them over in the breakout room during the regular class meeting, and then we can all come back together.
Ah, wonderful. Now, and Amanda, from an administrative point of view, are you seeing things that are being mandated to assist special needs children, or or is this something that is up to the individual classroom teacher?
Yeah, so children with special needs, as a lot of people know or don't know, they have an individual education plan, an IEP. So by law, we are mandated to follow those. The federal government requires that we give FAPE, F-A-P-E, which is free and appropriate education to all students. So when a student has an IEP, the Department of Education did say that we have to work to meet the IEP, but that they are allowing it to look different. Basically, they've said, try your best. And so then we had to wait for the state to give guidance on what that meant. And they said, we should all create a distance learning plan specific to each child to meet their needs. And like Yone said, that particular need for her student would be, how do I get them to hear it? Because that was kind of an easy fix. Now, when you were saying some of these other needs, you do the best that you can, but in the distance learning plan, you may have to say, this particular thing is not, we can't meet that thing right now. And we know that when we do go back to school, there are already conversations about students who, especially students with special needs, are going to need extra help. All of the kids will need extra help, but especially students that maybe slid back because their IEP wasn't being, completely met as it would in a traditional school.
Okay. So you mentioned that once we return, that students will need additional help, not just special needs children, but all the children. So that gives me two questions. First and foremost, how much time can a classroom teacher spend with her normal class, given the distance learning platform? And secondly, how adequate is it compared to the classroom? If they're going to need help once they return, how effective are we being now? And I know your hands are kind of tied with that, but still, I think it's important to know that we're getting 90% of the educational benefit that we normally would get, or whatever that percentage may be.
Ask your first question again.
Okay. Are the children getting, what percentage of educational benefit are children getting with the distance learning platform as opposed to a classroom setting?
I can honestly say as a science teacher that they are not getting 100%, because as science, I have more of a hands-on curriculum. We do more labs, we do more demos, we do more experiences, and the distance learning does not allow for that. So my students are getting the basics that I can give them in this platform. They're getting the basics, but they're not getting the full, I got it now.
Mhm.
They're getting basically the, I can see it, but I can't quite grasp it. So
Okay.
they're basically getting the concepts, but they're not being able to grasp the entire meaning of it.
Okay. And how much time per day, for example, in a classroom where you've got children that spend an hour and 15 minutes in your science classroom per day, are you able to get the same time
You're,
span out of that platform?
I get an hour and 15 minutes.
Oh, is it
That's high
45
school.
now?
I only get 58 minutes.
58 minutes. Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
Okay, go back to your question because you threw me off when I was anticipating an hour and 15 minutes. I was thinking, wow.
An extra half an hour. You're like, I could do a lot with that.
Right.
Well, actually, you answered it because you said you get 58 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I would imagine that is 58 minutes every time that class meets. Is that correct?
When we were in a physical classroom, yes. The way that the online learning is set up now, I can have up to 45 minutes because I have to anticipate questions at the end of the lesson as well as set up for the next class. So I basically have about 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes, depending on the presentation and the cooperation of the students.
Okay. Now, if you would, and I apologize, but this question came up during our last kind of Q&A question, our segment there. As I'm out and about, which isn't very frequent these days, but I've seen a number of banners that say class of 2020 graduation, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't recall the exact date that we closed the schools, but I know that the graduating class did not get the benefit, I would imagine, of the last quarter. So in order to graduate these students, Amanda, what are some of the things that we've had to do to make it okay, to ensure that they've met the requirements of a graduate?
Well, oh goodness. Some of that is still being processed in KPS. I'm still trying to get absolute information, clear information on how that works. So some students, they're on track to graduate. Basically, they're going to graduate
Mhm.
because there's flexibility in the requirements. If students were behind, then at this point in time, what teachers are doing is trying to give some instruction in those to get those credits so that the children can catch back up, so to speak. The executive order from the governor says that when the districts write these distance learning plans, that the children cannot be penalized for not participating.
Oh, careful, careful.
So without us having clear information on how to grade, we don't really know what that looks like, because do I want to penalize somebody who is babysitting or is homeless, etc.? That's not fair in my mind either. So we have a lot of work and thinking on how that's going to look and how that's going to work. And Yone might have a little more information on that. I don't know.
Actually, I don't. I'm just happy that my senior graduated in January and finished all his credits, so he's good.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, this pandemic has really it's changed our life quite a bit, not just in socially and professionally, but even the education. And it seems like we're experiencing one of those things where one of those point in times where we're adjusting on the fly. This makes sense. This doesn't make sense. This is how we can more effectively teach, et cetera, et cetera.
We are basically building an airplane as it's in flight.
Wow, that's scary. As it's in flight. Wow. Now, let me ask you, Amanda, while you still have your KEA hat on, how would you change the system to make it better? What can we do differently?
Well, that's easy. Listen to the professionals. Let them help develop this airplane. As we were supposed to in the executive order, our district in particular delivered a plan to the KEA and wanted us to negotiate letters of agreement. And that's fine, but it's to negotiate the letter of agreement is separate from developing the plan, which was a requirement. So the main bone I have to pick with KPS, again, is that you didn't ask for community input and you did not ask for the input of the professionals. So we have definitely some snags in our plan because it was developed by upper administration. And I'm still pressing them on what teachers, and they have their own way to frame this. But I can tell you, teachers were not involved in creating this plan. They were not. They can say what they want, but that's not true. And it's supposed to be a plan. The requirements of the MDE are that the plan should be flexible. It should be changing as we go because of input from professionals. And KPS has a long history of moving forward without input from stakeholders. I mean, I just hope they learn that you need to talk to the people you're doing education to. Talk to the community, talk to the parents and the kids. And that input is so valuable. I mean, I just believe that we could be like the best school district. And it's so much better if they would do that one thing.
Okay. So are there town hall meetings set up for education, or do you walk into a meeting and suddenly here's the plan? How does it normally work?
So for me, for our union, what happened was they were very quick. They developed this plan like almost immediately. So their sense of urgency, I understand that. That's fine and good. But what happened in a lot of other districts were that they put together committees, like you were saying, so that you can get input from the stakeholders that were required in the requirements. And here it did not happen that way. So that is very disappointing to me because it's such a missed opportunity.
Well, let me ask you, because we've got an interim superintendent. Is that a function of having an interim superintendent? Is that leadership? Is that chronic within the school district? Are we consistently seeing the same types of issues, and this being an anomaly, or is that the way we handle education?
For me as an employee and as a president, it's been the way that we've been doing business for at least a decade. And as a nation, people that aren't in the classroom making decisions for those of us who are. That has been a theme nationwide. Mm-hmm. So with the new superintendent, I mean, I have hopes that things will change. She spoke a lot about getting stakeholder input and holding forums. I think it goes down. It also goes back to our school board and who we have elected, and are they going to allow that to continue that way? We have a couple new people on the school board that they don't want to do business like that. They want to hear from the community. So that's hopeful.
Wonderful. Well, I wonder, you mentioned the new superintendent would create forums, and I would imagine that gives the classroom a teacher a platform where their voice can also be heard. Now, one thing that I know, and I mentioned it earlier, is that what happens behind the scenes with our educators, and whether that be open house or grading papers or talking to parents or doing all the other things outside of classroom, it's really quite an effort. Let me ask you, in a case of a forum, Yona, is that something that as a 28-year veteran, do you look forward to that? Do you think it has merit? And do you see that as a very good way to help our students going forward?
Not only our students, but I also see it as a way of helping our educators, because we have a lot of newer teachers who actually kind of need the support and the mentoring and everything else that would go into being a successful teacher. And with the climate, politically, socially, economically right now, I don't foresee a lot of our newer teachers staying, just because the workload can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a routine, if you don't have some systems in place, that even teachers my age or older, we still have a few, um, they have some systems in place that have cut down on the grading quite a bit. And it's still allowing us to assess where our students are, to support where our students are, and to hopefully take them further than they are. So we have some time savers that we could use, but I don't think we have a forum or even a way right now to communicate that to those newer teachers.
So you see a forum as a very positive thing
Yes.
for
Not
all
only
parties
not
involved.
only for support, but also just to help us take things further
Okay.
and get more supports, not only for ourselves, but for other people in place too.
Okay. Very good. Excellent. Excellent point. Well, listen, I know that if you would, I've kept you for, I know I've gone over, but there were some of the questions that we asked that I thought were really important. So if you would allow me a couple more questions. I know you've got work to do, um, but I promise I won't keep you much longer. I
Okay.
want to throw this out to
Okay.
both of you, and Amanda, if you would, um, you can take the platform first. If you had the opportunity, which you currently do, to speak to parents, to speak to students, to speak to administrators, um, in terms of the learning process, the learning experience, the learning curriculum, what would you say? How could you address them right now? If you could wave a magic wand and make it perfect, given the circumstances, what would you tell them? What would you change?
I would, other than listening to professionals and stakeholders, I would say that if I had a magic wand, how can we make the access equitable for everybody? How can we do that? And that part's really important to me because, you know, we talked about it quite a few times that we know that some kids can't engage in the online learning like some other kids. It might be easier for other kids. So it's just showing the inequities amongst families and how they're living. And I would want all the students' needs addressed, like their socio emotional needs addressed. So if they needed something, poof, here's somebody you can talk to about that issue to help you work through that. I think I would really like those things.
Absolutely. And if you would, could you pass that wand to your name? Same question. There you go.
I think that this is actually proving that online learning is not for everyone.
Mhm.
It can't be to meet everybody's needs. I know that, speaking from my own children's standpoint, one being special needs and one being regular ed, it's very different for both of them,
Mhm.
especially from a social standpoint, where one child needs that socialization. So it's it's one of those, one child has benefited, the other one has not so much. This is just a reality that we're dealing with right now. Hopefully it will not be long-term because it is very unequal.
Mm-hmm.
And Amanda, I don't know how much you can do for this for next year, but if we're able to get back in the classroom and have distance learning for some and in the classroom for some, I want to be in the classroom.
Yay!
Gigs in right now, right?
I want to be with my students so that I can give them that hands-on experience, so I can see them and talk to them. This is, for me, it's a Band-Aid. It's allowing me to talk to my students. It's allowing my students to talk to me, but it's not my ideal. If this was what I was going to get into for teaching, I would not be teaching anymore.
Got it.
I want to be with my kiddos.
Let me tell you my experience, and then we'll try to close. But I've had the benefit of being around my mother, who was, as I mentioned at the opening of the show, 20 years in Kalamazoo Public Schools, and my twin sister. But one of the sheer joys I had, and I still have this to this day, is when one of her students from 10 years ago, 15 years ago, walks up to her and says, "Hi, do you remember me?" I've seen that with my mother and my sister, and that's an opportunity. That's a point in time that you cannot buy.
Right.
So I get it when you say, I want to be in the classroom with my babies.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know my sister as an educator, she had a name for every one of her students. She'd call them, "Come here, precious.
Mm-hmm.
Come here, precious."
Yes.
That was, everybody was precious. And I know that the passion and the dedication that you have means that precious is real.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
certainly today it has been my honor to have the opportunity to speak with you. I get it. I get the passion. I get the understanding. I get the commitment. I even get the many years that you've put into this. I understand why. I thank you for showing up. I promised that I wouldn't hold you much longer, and I won't. But I do want you to know it has been an honor to speak with you, and certainly as we try to navigate through this pandemic, I hope to have the time to come back and talk to you and say, "How are you doing? How's that platform? Yone, are you in the classroom?"
Yes.
All right. Okay. But I'm going to look forward to that. And I thank you. And if one of you or both of you would like to take the opportunity to speak with one of your kids or parents, what have you, you're more than welcome. Is there someone that brings you an apple every day that you want to say hi to?
No.
Okay, very good.
I teach middle school. They don't bring me apples.
Ah.
I guess
How
I
about
would
you?
say it's kind of cool you're doing this right now because it's Teacher Appreciation Week. So just saying hi and thank you to all the teachers because and all the support staff, because a lot of them are essential workers and they've been showing up in person to deliver the meals and to drive the buses and to clean the buildings and to do other work, parapro work, like Yone was saying, dropping off packages, or not packages, the packets of paper,
Mm-hmm.
paperwork for the kids. And, that's a whole different level. So we appreciate everybody and the parents and what they're doing to help support the learning. So good timing.
Excellent. Well, again, I thank you. And for those that have tuned in, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to the Kalamazoo Community COVID-19 Update. My name is Clifford Brown, and as always, I'm your host. I hope that you found the information impactful and informative. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye now.
The Kalamazoo Community COVID-19 Update is produced locally through the Public Media Network. Our goal in this and subsequent broadcasts will be to provide you with the most up-to-date local information concerning the health of you and your family throughout this most devastating pandemic. Our community is braced and consistently preparing to handle the medical, emotional, and social needs of our families and friends. Please adhere to the advice of our governmental and community leaders. They are working tirelessly to provide you with information that will make a difference. Our broadcasts are likewise poised to provide you with updates of when and where you can find essential resources. We hope you'll receive this information with the care and urgency necessary to keep our communities thriving. Please be safe and make wise decisions.